April 15, 1865. As the sun began to rise over a fractured Washington, D.C., a heavy supernatural silence filled the room at the Peterson house. Abraham Lincoln had just taken his final breath, but those who were there, generals, doctors, and friends, noted something that the history books rarely mention. The president's face didn't bear the mask of a victim of a senseless crime. Instead, it held a radiant, luminous calm. It was the look of a man who had finally reached the dark shore he had seen in his dreams for years. Most people know Lincoln as the great emancipator, the leader who saved the Union. But on the Origin Archive, we look deeper. We look at the origin of the man himself. What if Lincoln wasn't just a politician? What if he was a sacrificial king? In ancient traditions, a leader's blood was often seen as the only thing sacred enough to wash away a nation's sins and guarantee its rebirth. Lincoln, a man of profound sorrow and deep psychic sensitivity, seemed to know that his life was a currency meant to be spent for the soul of America. To understand his acceptance of this fate, we must go back to 1860. Shortly after his first election, Lincoln was resting in his home in Springfield. As he looked into a bureau mirror, he saw something that would have broken a lesser man. He saw two distinct reflections of himself. One was glowing with life, vibrant and clear. The other, hovering just inches away, was as pale as a ghost, a hollow, lifeless version of his own face. When he told his wife, Mary Todd Lincoln, she turned pale. She interpreted the vision immediately. Lincoln would serve his first term in the light of life, but he would be taken before the end of his second. Any other man would have fled the presidency. Any other man would have hidden behind 1,000 guards. But Lincoln was a man of destiny. He didn't see the ghost in the mirror as a threat. He saw it as a contract. He accepted the shadow because he knew the light of the Union depended on it. As the Civil War raged, the White House transformed. It was no longer just the seat of government. It became a temple. The 1860s were the golden age of spiritualism, and the Lincoln family was at its center. After the tragic loss of their son, Willie, the Red Room became a portal. While critics called it grief-driven madness, the true archives suggest something far more strategic. Nettie Colburn Maynard, a renowned medium, claimed that Lincoln used these seances not just to find comfort, but to find direction. Witnesses described the president falling into deep, ancient trances. His voice would change, vibrating with a frequency that felt thousands of years old. It is whispered that some of the most critical military maneuvers of the North, moves that generals couldn't explain, were whispered into Lincoln's ear from the other side. He was a shadow traveler, walking between the world of the living and the world of the entities to ensure the Union's survival. This brings us to his final day. On the morning of April 14th, Lincoln walked into a cabinet meeting with a strange, peaceful aura. He told his colleagues about his recurring phantom ship dream. He saw a singular, unrecognizable vessel moving with incredible speed toward a dark, indefinite shore. His generals, men of iron and gunpowder, laughed. They thought it meant the final surrender of the South. But Lincoln knew better. He knew the ship wasn't a symbol of military victory. It was his transport. He was a pillar of a temple that was falling, and he had chosen to fall with it to ensure its foundation would be made of stone. He walked into Ford's Theater that night, not as a target, but as a prophet, fulfilling his final prophecy. He was the Sacrificial King, whose transition would reset the cultural clock of a nation. When the bullet struck, Lincoln's body died, but his archive began. To this day, from Harry Truman to Ronald Reagan, Residents of the White House report seeing a tall, lanky figure in a stovepipe hat standing by the window of the Oval Office. He is not a restless ghost. He is an eternal sentinel. He stands there, watching over the country he died to save, a man who knew his fate and walked toward it anyway. Abraham Lincoln remains the ultimate mystery because he represents the origin of American sacrifice. He was the prophet in a black suit who saw the end of the script and played his part to perfection. As we close this chapter of the Origin Archive, we ask you, was Lincoln a psychic? Or was he something more, a cosmic architect of our reality? Leave a comment with your theories below. If you believe history is more than just dates and names, subscribe and turn on notifications. The past is never truly dead. It's just waiting to be rediscovered. I am your host, and this is the Origin Archive. Until next time.